At the top, I'm just gonna kind of preempt it with the discussion on the internet over the last week or so because we've not done anything in 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So all of a sudden, Matt Reeves has lost a lot of the Batman fandom impressively quickly. Before this episode even came out, because
With the
of
name.
decisions that, in the grand scheme, don't actually matter.
Yeah.
But the complaints that were raised because of them are fair complaints.
Okay.
So it started a few weeks ago, which we did mention here, about how he doesn't want to use anything too fantastical.
Yeah.
And that's why certain characters like Gentleman Ghost he would never ever touch.
Yeah.
It then got released that he renamed Oswald Cobblepot to simply Oz Cobb because he felt Oswald Cobblepot was too crazy and weird, because Oz Cobb is completely normal. And again, that doesn't change anything. As far as I'm concerned, he's still Oswald Cobblepot. Everyone's just calling him by a weird nickname. Or you're never going to convince me that his last name isn't Cobblepot.
Yeah.
There's been a number of things he said in the press that people have kind of gone, it doesn't seem like you want to admit you're working on a comic book IP. It's like you're embarrassed to be working on a comic book IP and you don't respect comic books, is the way it's coming across. Which I think is a fair and valid criticism. But all of the changes are non-substantial. So it's kind of a case of, do we rightfully go, your mindset is wrong here, and that's not what we want, even though we are nitpicking over things that don't matter? Or do we risk letting it slide, and then he changes things that do matter and harm the character? Is the discussion around the process of these projects at the minute.
Here's my thing with the name. Because in episode 1, he's referred to as Oswald.
Yes,
several times. So I think whatever Matt Reeves was saying about the name and it getting this whole Oz Cobb, I think he's kind of done the thing that always happens where someone asks a question, they give a vague answer, try to give a reason for it, but don't actually give the full concept of like why something was done.
Yeah.
Because so far, he's not referred to as Oz Cobb at any point.
No.
He's called Oswald.
Call him Oz, which I'm fine.
Also, the whole Cobb as a last name, like, there's an easy, like, if you watch the show, you suddenly realize, like, why he might not be referred to Cobblepot. They're making his character's clearly being written as from the suburbs, like, downtown. He's not from a wealthy family like how he's usually portrayed as an aristocrat.
He's a lot of the time he's portrayed a little bit faux aristocrat.
Yes. But like, so in this show though, he's been kind of more.
They're leaning into that more. They're very large soprano kind of vibe.
Which
common as shit.
If they were to be like, oh, this person who's meant to like live with the general people and they go by the name Cobblepot, it does seem a bit like,
yeah,
you would be like, who the fuck is this guy? So it being shortened to Cobb, I get that. Like, it makes sense for the setting they're putting this character in. Has Matt Reeves explained that very well? No. And I get people being like annoyed about him just throwing it out there.
I think there is a big concern of like a slippery slope of please don't water down these characters to fit what you want them to be, instead of like if you're going to change a character that much, I'm not saying he has, but if you want the characters to be that different, at some point they're a unique idea. Go and just do that.
It's like, I'm okay with him tweaking things so that it thematically stays same to the character's core, but it's thematically works and doesn't like stick out. So him tweaking the last name to be shorter for the setting that this character is meant to be coming from, like his background, fine with this like vibe of what the underworld and like this Gotham is like, works fine. Yeah. But yeah, say there's, I don't know, say they'd done the Riddler in the Batman film, and then he changed it and he's like, oh, he's not really doing riddles, he's just being a serial killer, but we're naming him the Riddler. That would have been like, okay, you've changed this too much.
Yeah, you're stepping all over the point. He's Victor Zsasz now. Congratulations. Yeah.
So I think as long as he is just doing it in a sense of not to lose what the character is, but to get it to fit into this thematic world that he's building, I'm okay with. But I get the concerns of people being like, what if he just starts changing whatever the fuck he wants?
My concerns are mostly alleviated based on how Oswald is portrayed in episode 1
Yeah.
as being a bit conniving, a bit sneaky, very intelligent.
Mm.
But when someone more important than him is around, he all of a sudden, and he literally says it outright to Victor, he's like, I make myself not a threat. They don't worry about me.
Yeah, I make myself too small, make them feel like the big man.
Yeah.
Then I get all the control.
And
I
then,
can go back
they
to,
don't
and
see
then
what I'm doing.
I go back to my day job and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And that is very Penguin if he's not in control. He's like, he genuinely believes he's smarter than everyone. He is going to outthink you, outwork you. And then when you decide that he's a threat, it's too late. You've already lost.
Which is also a similarity to The Sopranos,
Yes.
which is what I've seen everybody talk about. This show heavily pulls from The Sopranos.
I get that to an extent. It is set in a very New York style, New Jersey style city.
Well,
it's a big fat man who's not quite in charge, but very important.
Yeah,
I get it.
Well, it's just them trying to. Everyone has a sense of what a mobster gangster show film is. Yes, there's going to be similarities because you want it to come across like those things so that you relate to what this show's trying to achieve.
Yes. They want you to turn on the Penguin and in 15 minutes go, oh, just give me the vibe of The Sopranos. Oh, The Sopranos was a great show. I'll give this a go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I love the way they showed his deformed leg.
Yes.
The consistency of his hobble is incredibly impressive.
This is like a bit of a side thing, but I was completely sold on this because in primary school in my year, there was a lad in my class also had one of those foot brace things. I was good friends with him, and he also walked in a similar way because he had issues with his ankle and his foot and stuff.
Yeah.
So seeing that, I'm like, oh yeah, that, and obviously it shows the brace on his foot. I was just like, that seems exactly right of what I would.
They use that to play into his mindset even more, like in the subway scene where everyone's
Yes.
like, would you like a seat? And he's like, no.
Yeah, he sees the.
Don't you dare fucking treat me different. I'm better than you, if anything.
Yeah, he sees the disabled seat and doesn't use them because he doesn't want people to see him that way.
He wants to feel powerful and dangerous and important, and by admitting he's weak, he gives them that power back, which is his.
A funny moment. Obviously we're jumping around here, but when he's killed the lad and he's got to get the body downstairs, and he's at the top of the stairs struggling, and then obviously struggling because of his foot and stuff, and then he just goes, why do I give a shit about it? And just yeets the body down the stairs. I thought it was really funny.
Absolutely.
But
Victor is a brilliant character.
Yes.
Loving that. Completely new character.
Okay, so this is what I was going to say. Is that name... Obviously, I know there is Victors in the Batman, but there isn't his name associated with Victor.
This Victor, as far as we know, is a brand new character.
Okay.
A lot of people are suggesting he might be misnamed as a red herring.
Got you.
And he might be pivoted into another character.
Okay.
I'm not convinced of that. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing Matt Reeves would do. I think he was like, I want to make the Penguin a very personable character.
And have a sidekick.
Yes. And I think they nailed it. Because it sums up the Penguin really well. Because I don't think the Penguin's inherently bad. He is supposed to be like this mobster kind of dude who just wants to make money and be left the fuck alone. Yeah, he has the occasional genuine supervillain kind of caper, but it's all about money for him.
Well, yeah, and we see he kind of essentially reveals some of his motivation of what he thinks a mobster should be when he's talking to the lad that's taking over.
The Carmine Falco's son.
Yeah, the Falcone's son. And he says there was a gangster back in the day who he looked after the people, he knew everybody, and essentially he's showing that he just wants to be someone who looks after the people around him and is revered for looking after the people And
do you know
like,
what it kind of reminds me of, like inspiration wise?
go on.
Ronnie and Reggie Cray, obviously two
Yes,
notorious North
yes,
London gangsters. Um, yeah, everyone in London knew they were fucking criminals, but no one really got hurt who wasn't also committing crimes. So if you were a civilian, you actually didn't need to be too worried about them
no, and they
because
would
at the
actually
time,
look after you if you had an issue.
and at the time, the police were almost as corrupt, so it's not like they were any better, and they
Mhm.
weren't from your neck of the woods. And if you could get in well with their mother and you were having a problem, their mother would mention the problem to them, and they would get your problem solved, and you didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, it's
And it's definitely Penguin wants to be that kind of
yeah,
leader for
exactly.
Gotham.
Which I think plays into this idea of like this young lad who I'm gonna guess is meant to seem like he's got a bit of a stutter.
Yes, he's absolutely got a stammer or a stutter or
Yeah,
something.
which the Penguin having his sort of disability is obviously
Disability,
gonna feel something for that. I like the idea of a gangster film. Like a good gangster film or show always has like the new person that's being shown the ropes and oh, you're now in this. Like you know too much, you can't get out. I'm gonna train you
yeah.
up. Either
The kind of mice and men bit where he's like getting ready to shoot him and he's like, sorry kid, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And like Penguin loves that because he's like, I've done this. I've talked like later on in that episode, he literally talks himself out of a similar position where
yes,
he's about to be fucking put down and he manages to win. So he sees this in this kid and he's like, I like this kid.
yeah. He sees enough that he's like, oh, this kid was just trying to make like he knows, and when he obviously worked out, oh, you're from the part of Gotham that has been hit the worst. You're just trying to make some money.
Yeah.
You just happen to pick the wrong person, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to try and
Yeah.
better yourself and manipulate in that
Really,
way.
really fucking cool.
It
I'm
is
very
like
excited.
the idea of a mobster Gotham show in this Reeves verse. I'm all for like the visual style fits it so well,
Yeah.
and it also like this idea of like a street level view of this Gotham is very cool.